2x2, 7 rows deep.
And rolling up to the start-finish line. It looks like Asher going a little bit off track as the inside.
As they can. Saber making an amazing dive into turn 1.
And electroshocks off. Eggful gets the move.
But MNU trying to take a move.
Big contact from 3 points. 5 different punches.
Big incident with Snowdog, our leader.
As we head into town row, it's a big crash. It's a big crash between the two title contenders.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final round of the Simufur GT3 Championship. Here, round 6 at the Styria Grand Prix in the Red Bull Ring. Hi, I'm Paliku'i, joined by Suzuka Takahashi in the commentary booth as we finish off practice here at today's finale. And we're looking at a good one here, right, Suzuka?
If our original round 1 serves us correctly, we should have awesome racing. Red Bull Ring has never disappointed when it comes to great racing. We had the iRacing LMP2 series. We had, if I recall, we have a few series that used the Red Bull Ring, and a lot of it produced great racing. This circuit has a lot of straight line speeds, which gives you a lot of opportunities for drafting and taking on the slipstream and giving you a better chance at overtaking onto the tighter corners. So again, Red Bull Ring, great product for racing, and it is forecasted to be a great one out there.
Yes, right now it's looking to be great, and hopefully we avoid what happened in the first round. That was not the first round anymore, as we follow along with number 83 Oily Rags here. But taking a look down the line at the championship right now, if we take a look at what's been going on coming into this finale, of course, we have RK currently right now in the lead of the championship by a commanding margin right now. I believe he's up at the overall championship level, and as most likely, if he's able to start this race, will be crowned the GT3 championship this season. Of course, the big question mark, though, is for P2 overall. We have Vossi, Zizors, Giando, and Denak all fighting right now for P2 in this championship right now. And so it's going to be a matter of which one of these cars can take it here today. I believe the actual points differential is very slim. I believe within, I think, 6-7 points between the 4 of them. So it's going to be critical that whoever races today in that position gets a good finish. And we're going to see where that leads. Of course, going down into silver a bit, Leparcho right now in the lead of silver by about 18.5 points. Leparcho on the number 47 Take Gang racing car has led a decent campaign through their entire stint here this championship. Whereas right now, it looks like Van, RS Volpez, and Swingley are looking to see if they can claim P2, although they have the chance for P1 as well. That is if Leparcho can't bring it home today, but you know, we shall see. There's a lot of racing to be done here today as we round the end of practice at around 20 seconds to go. So it's going to be a matter of let's see where they qualify and see where they finish at the end of today. Suzuka, what are you looking at in terms of consistency here at the Red Bull Ring? As we can see, I mean, in the background there, that shot behind Vossi, I believe one of the cars went off there. But, you know, we saw in the first round that one little mistake could mean the end of so many drivers' runs today. And with championships and positions on the line, how do you think that's going to factor in?
I do have some confidence in a lot of these drivers. They're very overall RK in the last Red Bull Ring. It was very consistent. Unfortunately, got into accidents with lap traffic, but with less drivers than the original forecasted round, the original round, I think RK is going to have a bigger chance. I because he's been dominating by a landslide compared to these drivers. He's running away from the rest of the field. But it's in the overall standings, it's all eyes on P2, who can take that P2 spot right behind RK.
Yes, and it's going to be interesting to see. Now, as you can see in the graphic on the left-hand side of the screen, our class championships are divided, as you've heard before, between Pro, Silver, and AM. AM is indicated red next to the driver's name on your graphic on the left there. Silver is, of course, gray/silver for the Silver Championship, and Pros, an overall championship, in the white as we begin the qualifying round here shortly. AMs are going to go out first. They're going to have the first 10 minutes out to qualifying. Then it's going to be the Silvers for 10 minutes, and then it's going to be the Pros. The interesting thing to note is that all of these times intermingle with each other. So there can be AMs in front of Silvers and Pros. There could be Pros behind Silvers and AMs, and all of this is going to factor in terms of overall championship points by the end of today. So for those that are, let's say, fighting in the silver P2 fight, let's say Ven and Ares, if they can score a decent qualifying position, being in front of even some poles and leading silver, they're going to have a chance to get even more points today than, let's say, if they were just in behind their own class of cars. As we follow along with Dirk here, number 26 Blue E Short Cub, Blue Shark E-Racing, I believe Ferrari, that is, if I'm not mistaken, and they're going to be leading us out to qualifying today. They're going to be going out in their laps, followed by the silver class. Now, in terms of low fuel and ability to navigate around this course, especially with the AM drivers trying to get a hold of the grip of their cars, what do you think is the trickiest section of this course to get right?
I have to say the final few corners because, especially because of track limits, it's really easy to get past those white lines if you push it a bit too hard. So while Red Bull Ring looks like an easy track with a lot of straights and not a lot of corners, it's the track limits that will bite you in the rear end. And speaking of, we are looking to be on a lap for the for Red Bull Ring as we look over to Dirk's onboard, heading into the main straight, full power, and then it's hard braking into turn one. Do not break track limits here. Another location to get track limit violations. Dirk stays within the confines quite easily. Full throttle into the non-existent turn two, which is a left-hand kink on this straight, but it's hard braking. Really strong on the brakes into turn three. A hairpin, really tight hairpin, one of the slowest corners of this circuit. As we go back on the throttle, full power once again. Red Bull Ring, a circuit of many straights, but those straights will die out soon because we are heading into turn four. Hard braking, get that right corner. Do not go wide into the kitty litter. Dirk staying within the track quite nicely. That is into turn 5, I believe, the hand into turn 6, a left-hander. You kind of want to be patient with this corner. This corner takes a bit longer than expected. Dab on the brakes into turn 7 here, and then it's flat out onto turn 8. Now it's the final 2 corners after this back straight, turns 9 and 10. Do not want to break track limits, as I mentioned before. Dab on the brakes, Dirk does there, staying within the inside line. Washing out wide, but not too wide. Into turn 10 he goes, and a bit of oversteer for Dirk, and I think he might have broken track limits there, but that is a lap around Red Bull Ring.
Yes, it looks like he just barely broke track limits there. It looked like it would have been a 1:30.455, but instead JPEG Fox was just ahead. The number 12 Aston Martin there ended up picking up a 1:32.10 to start. It looks like every single car that has crossed the finish line except for JPEG has set a valid lap. As I say that, the Cabal driver, Quest, and Sierra in the 962 car both set respectable times. Quest with a 130.15 and Sierra with the 130.3. As I say that, Joan-Yves comes in there in their number 911 Porsche there with a good time of 130.037. And as the times show, I mean, right now the top three only separated by 0.3, it looks like, between them as we watch Joan-Yves keep going up that hill coming into Ramus Corner. As you said, Suzuka, this is a sharp corner right here, and making sure that they go by nice and easy and smooth there as we now go back to Derg, coming up right behind JPEG. Of course, Derg is looking to put on another good lap, getting a little bit of the draft. JPEG's got to be careful, though. You go a little too close, you're going to have to slow down, as we see coming around the ultimate corner at Red Bull Mobile Corner down there, coming to the start-finish line. Looks good, looks valid, just has to cross the line, and crosses the line with a 130.132, good enough for provisional P2. Decent lap from Derg. Derg's going to have to try again. More than likely going to either have to let JPEG off a little bit or find more space in front.
Yeah, Derg was only 900. So that's I say that Sierra steals pole position by a tenth of 1V. Now 1V is still our contender for the AM Championship. It is quite close between him and Wolfen, with the odds being more onto the Argentines 911 Cabal Porsche.
Yes, definitely. I mean, Juan V has a respectable lead in coming into this championship round here. And of course, as we say that, I mean, we look at both Juan V and Sierra. Both of their times are now sub 130s, a 129.88 from Sierra. Excuse me, I need to be more specific. A 129.880 from Sierra, and Juan V with a 129.882. Right now, they are separated by 0.02 of a second. That's how close the margins are. A very competitive field out there at the Red Bull Ring today.
Yeah, really close margins here in the AM class right now, especially between Sierra and Juan V. Now, keep in mind, I remember mentioning before, but Sierra not in contention for the championship, but might as well want an AM class win. Everyone wants an AM class win, and yeah, Sierra, one of the favorites for now as we look into qualifying times.
Yeah, I have to say this, the number 250 of Quest is on an absolute flyer right now, coming close to the penultimate corners. It's up, was up 0.3. Oh, just lost. Looks like a lot of time. Meanwhile, Juanvi here, still up on their time, coming through the final corner. Can they push a little bit through and improve just a bit to make it? It's going to be close. We're seeing even 0-0 on the timing screen, and it is an improvement of just 100th of a second, it looks like, and it's now 129.792 for Juanvi, and Sierra back down to second with a 129.880. The margins are very thin here, and you just have to make sure you can hold it on to the end. It just appears that the track is just getting a little bit, but they are running out of time here. I see in the remaining times about 22 minutes and 24 seconds, which means we're approaching the final 2 minutes of qualifying here for the AMs. They're going to have to set their laps in and make sure they do it well as we follow along with the number 250 Bentley of Quest here from Cabal, doing an absolute flyer coming into this section, up 0.4, up half a second right now. Coming into Worth here, turn 7 and turn 8. They lost a lot of time here on the last lap, so if they can keep the momentum going, they have for sure a provisional pole, but they have to finish it here. Coming into Rent Corner, the penultimate corner here, turn 8, then Red Bull Mobile. You have to carry the speed here, and you have to make sure you can execute it all the way without going. Coming through the final corner, gets a decent launch, loses some time, and loses enough time where they won't get the lead, but gets provisional P2 with a 129.877, excuse me. And Juanvi looking like he's improving too. Yes, Juanvi improved again with a 129.697. Right now, the difference between P1 and P3 is separated by 0.2, and that's it. What a competitive field.
Yeah, and indeed, it is a Cabal 1-2 for now in this AM class qualifying, but there are some drivers trying to inch off every single tenth in this qualifying session, but doesn't look like anyone is setting a time that will beat 1V for now. A lot. Dirk was up on a charge, but unfortunately, it looks like they invalidated their lap, and I think that is game set match for their qualifying. They have to settle for P4 in the AM class. Not a lot of gainers right now besides Phaser and JPEG Fox. JPEG Fox on a massive charge right now. This could be a huge jump for JPEG up into P7. And I don't think anyone else is gaining. Fluffy by a small margins. It's close but not quite. Have settled for P5. But 1V extending their pole position. They are on. They're really close on their delta. They are so close to their personal best. But will they beat their personal best by margin? I don't think so. But regardless, 1V has pole position for the AM class as the silver drivers will roll out of the track for their qualifying session.
Yep, they've just given the signal. The silver drivers are starting to file out now, and the AM drivers are finishing up their laps. So the AM driving qualifying is set. Looks like Juan V is in pole for AM and Quest for P2, Sierra P3. Of course, it is only for their class. Full qualifying results will come after. The silvers now are going to start making their times, and we'll see if they can make a dent. I mean, Juan V's 129.69 is pretty competitive. It's going to be quite a feat to beat for the silver drivers, although it's not unfeasible by any means, but they're going to have to dial it in and focus hard if they really want to, make their mark known here today. As we see Arez coming through now, as we know, qualifying for them is going to be critical because they are in position to take P2 in silver if they can get a good result today and beat out Ven and Swingley, but it's going to be close. It's going to have to do with how they build their qualifying here. As we can see behind Swingley, another contender for P2, the championship. You have to think the strategy here. The Garage 42 Aston Martin driver probably looking to get some draft out of Orez's, I believe, Lamborghini as they come across the start-finish line to start their first flying laps here at the Red Bull Ring. As we just follow along right behind with Leparcho as well. Leparcho trying to keep the lead there in silver. So basically first and second in the championship, all kind of bunched up together, trying to basically get the best time they can to set themselves up for the best position they can in the race. What do you think's going through Swingley's mind right now, just behind Arez, trying to get a better qualifying than them?
Personally, I think from the perspective of Swingy, that looks a bit too close to Oras. You do have the slipstream, but you also have dirty air, and that won't help you, especially on the final sections from turn 5 onwards. You're gonna have a lot of that aero wash affecting your aerodynamic grip, and it's just not going to give you the best time on those technical bits of the Red Bull Ring. But if Swingley thinks that the top speed advantage that he gains just from being in that slipstream of auras is worth the minor loss of grip from being in the dirty air, and I think it might pay off for the Aston Martin, but we'll have to see if, as these lap times are coming out right now, or correct me, they're still on their outlaps, but you get it. I think Swingley, if he thinks the slipstream will help him a lot more than the cost of dirty air, then by all means, that is Swingley's strategy for pole position.
I mean, it looks like it works so far. Swingley with a flat 129.027 behind Arez. Arez was set to do a 129.49, but was invalidated. So, I mean, it seems like the strategy has paid off a bit, but Swingley can't stay behind for long, as we see Ven set a time of 129.56, and then Leparcho right behind with a 129.617. So we're starting to see the times here form out. Leparcho, again, P3, currently leading the championship in points right now, but provisional P3 in silver. Leparcho's going to want to improve that, but Swingley, continuing on the charge, I'm seeing purple sectors coming from Swingley, but let's keep with Leparcho. Oh, let's keep with Swingley here as we continue on with this. Just looking down their pink sectors, they're currently ahead by a 10th. Now, this is the issue with the strategy here. You're getting so close to Araz up in front that if you lose the draft and you have to do a qualifying run of your own, you may not be able to improve your time much. But if you set a 128 now, it might not matter because you can get that great time on the board, and then you could not worry making sure that everyone else is going to have the draft to get their time, as indeed Swingley does a sub 129, setting a 128.975. And I'm pretty sure Swingley, yeah, this lap will be invalidated, so they're going to try and see if they can calm down a bit and then run across for another run. Araz, meanwhile, on that lap right in front of Swingley, did a 129.195, so the draft seems to be in play here today, and Swingley, if he can hold this pole position, this provisional pole, until the end of this, for the end of this qualifying session, is going to have a great chance to get some points and to possibly bring themselves up to P2 in the championship.
Yeah, unfortunately, on the last lap, I think Swingley was a tad bit too close to Araz. I think that this has kind of hampered their times in the final sections, because they were really gaining until sector 2 and 3, where they were too close to Araz, and that just compromised their line, just compromised how they can take each section. So I think Swingley might have to mellow down just a little, not stick their nose on that rear end of that Lambo, and try and set another lap, just not without any interruptions from how close they are between them and Araz.
Yeah, meanwhile, I see another runner that might be trying to go for the lead. Number 97, Cameras, right now is on an absolute flyer coming into the penultimate corners here, but it's back and forth right now, trying to see if Cameras can improve their time and just edge out Swingley. It's going to be close. They're coming through Rent Corner, going through Red Bull Mobile, and they got to make sure they keep it in track, keep their time up, keep the momentum going. Red Bull Mobile Corner, that's going to be the one you're going to get invalidated, but Cameras with a massive improvement right now with a 128.865, just ahead of Swingley. But meanwhile, as we say that, Swingley in the number 279 has also an improvement on their time coming into Schlossgold Corner right there. I think that is, yeah, turn 6 there, going into turn 7. So Swingley trying to improve their time. They're still behind Araz, still using that draft, but as we saw Cameras doing, Cameras set their 128.8 without a draft here. Swingley just trying to improve a little bit, and it looks like they lost a little time through that dirty air. Yes, and goes wide, going wide to Worth, so that's going to be an invalidation, and Swingley's going to have to go back to the drawing board now on the back foot as Cameras is in P1. Now, Araz right in front there, having a little bit of an improvement of their time. Can it be enough for provisional pole? This is going to be close, but they have enough of improvement right now as they cross the line, and it is going to be, but not by much, a 128.855 for Araz right now, 1/100th of a second faster than Cameras, and only a 1/10 of a second faster than Swingley. Another very competitive bunch.
Right now, it is really close to call right now. The track evolution, just seeing these times get faster and faster. Araz, Cameras, and Swingley duking it out for pole position in the silver class. As Swingley, if my Delta served correctly, was temporarily on a gain, but it is too close. Their personal best. They're just beating it by 100ths of a second. These margins are getting thinner and thinner between these guys.
Yeah, I do want to note right now between silver, the gap between 1st and 6th right now in the times is less than a second. As a matter of fact, by my counts right now, they're all within, looks like 6/10 of each other. 6/10, as it looks like Swingley went a little wide there, but I didn't see an invalidation, but that definitely slowed them down. They are not going to get an improvement on this lap here, but you know, going back before, between Ares and Electroshocks between P1 and P6 again, it's just going to be 0.6 of a second. And given that any gain here is worth the risk, I mean, it's just pushing the car to the edge, trying to make do with what you have, as I believe anyone that's crossing the line now is going to have one more lap to try and get this done, as I see that we're 50 seconds into the last 10 minutes of this one. So anyone out there right now is going to be doing their final laps, and it looks like Aras has pitted, so is Leparcho. Cameras does not look like they're going out for another flyer, so this is going to be all swingly. I mean, Cameras has an invalidated lap here, seeing if they get an improvement. They may get, yes, they will get one more lap, I believe, because they're going to cross the finish line before the 10-minute mark hits. But Swingley trying to improve, but unable to right now.
Yeah, right now it's really close right now. Cameras on the last driver on a flyer, but it's Swingley, Electroshocks, and Cameras himself on a mad dash to try and improve. But unfortunately, looking at the deltas, I don't think anyone is gaining any tenths. None of them are shaving any time, so I believe that these will be the times that will set the silver class grid.
Yeah, it looks like right now, Cameras does not look like they're on an improvement whatsoever. And yes, Cameras have pulled off to the side. Cameras knows they're not going to improve, so they're going to have to settle for P2 in silver right now. Aras taking the provisional silver pole here, and Swingley coming across the line without an improvement. So that sets your top 5. Aras, Cameras, Leparcho, Swingley, and Electroshocks as your top 5 in silver. And Aras, given Aras is in that P2 fight in silver, this is a huge boon for them as we watch Azure Goat come out now as the pros start their laps. But that's going to unfold such a big, most likely boon for Aras, because they're looking for P2, possibly the win, and starting in pole and silver is a great way to start it off today.
Yeah, Aras does have pole, and Aras, he is a considerably clean driver, so I think Aras has an upper hand when it comes to the Silver Class Championship between them, Ven, and Parcho. But as I say that, the pro drivers are about to set their first lap times here on the Red Bull Ring, and they will be pretty quick. My predictions, I think it's going to be RK dominate the field once again, but remember, all eyes are in the P2 Fight Championship between Boyando, Denak, and I believe Zzors.
Yeah, let's go ahead and ride on board with RK. I am very curious to see how they take this trap as they start their first flying lap here today. RK, of course, leading the championship. As you can see, it's about refinement of your driving style as he comes up to Remus corner. Of course, you can see how wide you have to make that car in order to turn in and carry that speed. You want to carry it all the way out to the edge. And I mean, you can just see just the smoothness of the inputs and making the car look really planted. RK now coming down into Slosh Goat corner, and I mean, you can see every inch of the track, every inch of the curbing, every inch of where the tires can be without invalidating. That's where you have to put your car if you're going to be super competitive, and that's what RK is doing. I mean, you can just see going out almost ridiculous amounts outside of the Ranch corner going into Worth. Now, this is the tricky one. To hit it inside of the curbing and the outside, you want to straighten the car as much as you can without going too wide on turn 8. And RK does that beautifully as they head into the penultimate corner, Rint. And again, taking that super wide line through the curbing, out on Rint, another super wide line through Red Bull Mobile, getting that nice corner in, corner out, and throttling it all the way through to the start-finish line. We'll see what RK's start time is. And it's not actually that impressive. Azure Goat going a little bit faster in front of him as a 128.917 with the RK at 128.967. As you know, Aras and Cameras in silver both did 128.8. So they're going to be looking to improve this time, which of course they're going to. Their tires are going to improve. That was just their first lap out. But as we can see, the timing starting to appear here. Seems like Zzors behind in their car in the 286 did a 129.29. Denak behind with a 129.3 flat. So the pros are going to be looking to improve all of their times, as of course, Azure right now on an improvement. Looks like 0.2 up of their last time. The tires are nice and warmed up, but RK with an even bigger improvement with 0.4 of a second coming into Rouch corner there. It's now half a second. If RK can keep that momentum going all the way through, has a chance to take the lead. And of course, the overall pole here, even a bigger improvement now. It looks like he was at 0.6, lost a little bit of time going through turn 8 there through Worth. But we'll see if they can make an even bigger improvement through Rent and Red Bull Mobile. As we cut back over, I think we saw RS in the pits there. Azure losing all of their time there. Coming through Red Bull Mobile corner, no improvement from Azure, but RK with a massive improvement with a 128.64 now with overall pole position. It's going to be a fight for everyone else to see if they can catch him.
Yeah, landslide pole position for RK for now. 0.2 off of RS and quite a long way ahead of the other pro class drivers who have yet to get past the silver drivers of Cameras and RS. But again, as you said, the tires are getting warmer and warmer, and the grip is starting to build up. So these times are definitely going to be faster the more these drivers get on the track.
Yeah, and just to point something out, not that the driver is not on there at the moment, but RS still holding P2. That's going to be critically important because Leparcho right now has dropped down to P6 overall because of where the silvers and pros are qualifying. They're decently close together at the moment. As you know, the championship points, they're divvied out overall here, so it's going to be interesting to see where they end up and if that's actually going to be enough of a swing for RS to possibly take the silver championship. But we shall see as we look at Yando right now. Looking like they have a little bit of improvement, but seeing if this lap is valid, I don't think it is. It looks like it's been invalidated, but looking at their improvements right now of their, almost looks like it's was nearly a second of their time. They're going to look at getting another good flyer here as RK does, I think, another improvement. That was a 128.32 if I'm not mistaken.
Total domination. In fact, RK is 0.3 off of Azure's lap time. That is just alien pace from RK.
He's just finding the grip everywhere. Just he knows where to push that car, where to make sure that Ferrari gets that pace and just knows where the tire's going. I just want to point out, if you watch that TV camera out there, how far out RK is on the curbing there. It is not an invalidation. It is within track limits as they are staying on the curb, but like just barely getting every single inch they can, and that's what you want to do to maximize momentum throughout the entire track. But as you saw right there, you have to be careful. You go just a little bit too wide, and even though it's still in track limits, you hit a little bit of the beach there coming through Rouch and Worth corner there. So RK is just looking to eke out every single itty bit of pace that they can. Meanwhile, Denak right now, the number 54, right behind is on another flyer. Looks like he's getting an improvement there. Denak trying to improve their time, possibly get up to P2. It looks like it might be enough. And it is. Denak with a 128.332, now just 12 hundredths of a second away from RK. Just barely manages to get it, and is very close to actually getting pole position. So the battle for pole here in qualifying is not a foregone conclusion, as we have the final 2 minutes of qualifying here to go. And of course, each time a pro driver hits up there, again, pointing back to RS falls a little bit behind there, but what you want to take a look at your timing screens over there, if you look at the left, is those two silver drivers up there in between all the pros, between RS and Volpez, and to see if there are any pro drivers that actually end up in between Cameras and Leparcho. Now, when it comes to the actual race, all the drivers are gridded by their qualifying time. So in terms of championship running, the pros are going to be between Leparcho and RS. It's going to make Leparcho all the more difficult to try and pass all the pro drivers to regain the points that might be lost if RS finishes up there. Just a little note for anyone interested in the championship runnings out there. But as far as we see, it looks like the only driver on track right now on a minor improvement looks like Zizors will manage to actually make their way in between Leparcho and Taichi if they can keep this pace up. Looks like down 3/10. Just trying to hold it together, coming in, make sure they don't invalidate it. Oh, but gets a bad exit coming out of Red Bull Mobile, and that saps all the improvement that they had there, and actually doesn't improve at all. Manages to finish that lap 1/10 down. As I see, Denak might be pulled in the pits. Yes, Denak is pulled in the pits, and meanwhile, RK up there on another improvement. Looks like they're improving their time pretty decently up there. Coming through, it looks like the number 25 car is coming through. I believe that's going to be Ramus, I believe, as we're on board right now with Chris the Gator coming across the line. I believe with their improvement about 3/10. And yes, it is a big improvement coming through. Now P4 on the timing screens now as we reach the final seconds counting down here. RK, this is going to be RK's last lap. So RK's last time to try and improve. Denak and Azure have not come out of the pits, so that is their time set. So RK right now just finishing to improve to see if anybody else is going to come even close. But looking at my timing screens now, it doesn't look like anybody's even going to challenge him. So we shall see what RK can improve. Can he make an even lower time? Can he get to the 128.2s? I think that's what he's looking for right now. As he goes, oh, just a little wide, invalidates his lap, and it's not going to count. So that improvement's going to throw by the wayside. Meanwhile, a development here, it looks like Zizors is coming through on an improvement to 3/10. It's going to be maybe if they hit that time all the way through, it's going to be good enough for maybe P4. No, it's P8. So it's P8 through there. But another time in between Cameras and Leparcho there. And as we see, I think Saber is the only one out. No, we got Chris, excuse me, Chris the Gator, still out there on track right now, trying to finish up their lap. And I believe Kivik is also crossing the line right now. No improvement there. So, I mean, as we can see, there's a pretty good mix of drivers here as now Chris the Gator finishes their lap. There's no improvement there, but there we have it. That is qualifying today, and wow, what a session.
Yep, indeed. It is game, set, match for for all the drivers on the grid. You have two silvers in the form of Auras and Cameras smack dab in the middle of a field of pros, which is going to be interesting to see how it plays out for them in the race. Will they, as I said, you're a silver driver, so will it be worth it to fight the other pro? Want to overtake me? By all means, let them overtake, because your championship is on the line in the silver class.
I would argue if you have the pace to keep up with the pros, keep up with the pros. I mean, the points difference is gonna count here. So, and you want to build up as much of a gap as you can, but it is a strategy that you need to hold, that you need to take into account. Being able to, race with the pros. It isn't your championship, so you just need to be aware of that. If, you have minor mistakes, yes, let them go, but yourself and your possible P1 that you're looking to overtake in the championship points, I'd say go for it. It makes for amazing racing, and you just got to make sure you're careful. But I mean, given the class differences here, it's very close. I mean, aside from RK with their blistering 128.3 and Denak as well with a 128.3, I mean, P3 all the way to P12 right now overall are all within 3/10 of each other, and that includes 4 silver class drivers. They are blazing today.
Yeah, absolutely quick grid we have today. And you don't want, even especially with how fast this time, sorry, I don't think you want to be too cocky when it comes to the race. He who has a glass house should not throw stones or something like that. You have to be careful around other drivers. They could jump out and take advantage of any mistake that you get. So for the meantime, it's in a racing perspective, I think it's better to be humble and to try and be more patient because as we saw in the last race in Red Bull Ring, it was utter chaos. A lot of people were just going out. So with that data in mind, I think it is best to keep your nose clean, especially because it is quite easy to get into incidents here as well.
That's true. If the first race was any indication, yeah, that's definitely going to be something that you need to keep in mind. Just making sure that you start clean, that you keep everything clean in front of you, and make sure that you get through the race well. That's what's going to matter as we get ourselves ready for the grid walk here today at the Red Bull Ring. It's the Styria Grand Prix here today, as we have, of course, RK in the lead with their impressive time, sitting P1 with their Tig Gang Racing Ferrari there, and then of course a Tig Gang Racing lockout into P2 there, right behind Denak. I mean, with their time, they're both with 128.3s. Impressive indeed, to say the least. There we go. We have our walk now. And then, of course, P3 Azure Goat with the Ridge Racing Project. McLaren there. Decent time from them, too. Only 2/10 off the lead. So the respectable time for them. And then, of course, Chris the Gator with their Lexus. Incredible run. Coming out of nowhere, pretty much, to take P4 there. Then we have the Tig Gang Racing Porsche there, Vossi, Auto Tiger, and P5 right there. And so those are your top 5 here today at the Red Bull Ring. And of course, P1 in silver in their qualifying, starting P6 overall, Ares Volpez right now in their Lamborghini. Beautiful blue Lamborghini there, as Cameras is going to be right behind in P2 in silver, P7 overall, with their bluey McLaren there. Giando right behind, another pro driver there looking to make of their mark. That number 84 car there, right behind Cabal, 8th and 9th place. Czors right behind their 286 BMW. And then, of course, rounding out your top 10, Taichi Yagami there with Tig Gang Racing in their Ferrari. Coming back then, right behind Laparcho, leading silver right now, but starting P11 overall. It's going to have some work to do on this race, as followed by Garage 42 Swingley, number 279 right there. Their Aston Martin, beautiful livery there with their Galaxy back there. Sabre right behind in their Ford, one of the few Mustangs in the grid today, a 523 Sabre there. And P14 Electroshocks CZ. Please excuse me on that one. And then behind there, the number 64 Ven in their Cabal BMW. Then, of course, right behind, Katie, Timberfox, Tig Gang Racing there, their number 18 McLaren, followed by Kivik, the number 123, right behind in their Aston Martin. And then, of course, leading AM Championship and they're qualifying right now, Juanvi and Cabal. A decent start there for them in their 911 Porsche, followed by Dipping Sauce, the number 38. And of course, P20 Oily Rags and their number 83 car right there. And then Quest behind in their Cabal, number 250 Bentley. A few Bentleys out there today. And then, of course, speaking of rare cars, in their Honda right now, the Sierra, you don't see that very often in the grid, but they're number 962 starting 22 here, followed by RAF in their number 28 Mercedes AMG, 23rd today. Then, of course, 24th, we have Fluffy, Tig Gang Racing, their number 44 Ferrari there, followed by Derg in their number 26, sitting at P25 in their Bluey Ferrari. Phaser right behind their 574 Lamborghini car there with Cabal in 26th place. And then in 27th place, JPEG Fox in their number 12 Aston Martin. And then finally rounding out the grid at 28th is Wolfen, a diplomatic incident in their bluey BMW. And that's your grid today here at Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, and from what I see in the helicam, it looks like Oily Rags has decided to start from the pit lane. I'm not sure what happened here, but either they're a bit away a bit too long or something else, but Oily Rags resorting to start from the pit lane. It's going to be interesting to see how this will go out for Oily.
Yeah, that actually is interesting indeed. As we stop by and go back to our leader here, RK. RK and Denak right behind in impressive time. I know RK has pretty much wrapped up the overall championship with their points lead. It's a pretty significant, but of course, you know, bragging rights are still on the line with this race. Denak right behind, I think, is going to be looking to make a decent run. I mean, they're teammates, but I mean, they're both racy. I know they're going to try and, you know, give it their all coming in, but I think who I want to watch out for is Azure right behind. I know Azure has been chomping at the bit to get some decent, good results here, and it's within their grasp. Starting P3, I mean, that's a podium position if we were to just red flag and finish the race right now. So I know Azure is going to be wanting to see if they can improve. I would say, though, the biggest surprise is sitting right behind Chris the Gator in the number 236 car. I did not expect to see Alexis this high up the order, but here we are with an impressive time, to say the least, as now they're going to get ready to go here at Red Bull Ring. Coming into that straight, into Rent, they're going to start bunching up here and going to go 2 by 2 as we are preparing to go underway. And there they are. Yes, there they are, going 2 by 2 now, coming into Rent and Red Bull Mobile. I am excited for this. This is the finale of the Simufur GT3 Championship as they prepare themselves to see the green flag here today. They have warmed up their tires, they have warmed up their brakes as they come around the final corner to get the green flag here at the Red Bull Ring. Everyone itching and raring to go. Anxious to see that green flag drop, those green lights show as they line up one by one here, getting ready. They are gonna cross the line here. They are just waiting for that flag to drop, and it is green, green, green. We are go here, the final round of the Simufur Championship. RK coming up side by side with Denak. Azure gets a great jump side by side. There's a bit of contact right behind with Azure. Azure has to go wide as Denak sits right behind. There's a bunch of vehicles in the back. Looks like there's a couple more bits and pieces of contact between Swingley and Ven in the back, but they're all still filing in. Lots of side-by-sides going into the next corner, and Ramus coming up ahead. Azure manages to get ahead of Denak, though, and that's a big push going from P3 to P2. Looks like Taichi behind as well, getting a position there. And there's a lot of battling still going on. Looks like Bossy and Araz are still at it. Taichi, Cameras, and Ven are still at it. Gyando right behind is still at it. There's tons of battles here coming in. People going in and out wide. 3 wide coming into Sloshgold corner. People still hitting side by side there. They're just not giving up. That's Ven and Cameras right now fighting into Roush corner. Looks like Ven loses it. He spun just a little bit. Oh, that's Cameras. Cameras is spun there. It looks like it. There's a big incident, too, going into Roush. There's multiple cars involved. 3, 4, possibly 5. People in the grass there. There are more spitting out. Another huge incident. People have teleported back to the pits. Other cars have stopped completely.
We have a red flag. Race control. Race control has announced. Red flag. That was a massive accident we had on Sector 3. Everyone going argy-bargy. There were 3, 4 wide. That is, the drivers were just absolutely on it. And it looks like we're having a restart, a reflag, as the red flag waves and the drivers get back on the grid. What?
And so we have gotten an official announcement. We are restarting the session. So that thankfully, anyone that was caught up and involved in that is going to have a mulligan. We are going to get this started again, and it looks like it's going to commence in about a couple of minutes time. I mean, that was it looked like it actually started with Cameras up in front. I think that was Cameras and Ven, and it was just a chain reaction of events right behind. Followed with them, there was a couple of TGR cars involved. I couldn't even see who. I saw the Bentley in that accident. There was like 9, 10 cars involved. And an absolute mess coming into Roush corner. It was a slight tap. It looked like a slight tap from my point of view as I saw in the broadcast, and it cascaded into a massive incident.
You know that meme where what where the guy tips one small domino and it escalates into a big one. This is the definition of what just happened. One small tap turned into the Armageddon, the big one of all big ones. And we're down, and as the drivers are still waiting on the grid, and it looks like it's going to be quite a while to reform everyone to get back on another formation lap and back on the race. And from what I heard, Rayando probably disconnected, unfortunately. That puts him out of the contention for the runner-up champion position. Yeah, it looks like a technical problem from Rayando's end, and yeah, it looks like they are out of contention.
And it's deja vu from the first race again. At least that one, it was, I believe, lap 2 in which the carnage started. But I mean, that one, everyone was jostling for position. We saw 3 wides going into Sloshko, and I mean, that was absolutely insane. As I'm hearing that we have around 30 seconds until they start, I believe, their formation lap and getting everything back up and running again. But it was just, it was absolutely nuts. But when you have all of the cars that close in a high-speed circuit like this, especially with all the high-speed corners that you see, it's not conducive for being able to avoid something. I mean, I know that Daytona 24 is going on right now in IMSA, but I didn't think we would have the big one like in NASCAR, the Daytona 500. But here we are. It seems like the Red Bull Ring is just like our Simufur Daytona, if you will. But thankfully, everyone gets to hit the reset button for the majority of the people that are still in the server. Everyone's going to get a second chance. So hopefully this time we can all line up. And I mean, it was great racing at just one little tap. I would say as a spectator, it's fascinating and entertaining to see. But I know as a driver, it's super frustrating, especially when you weren't up in the front and getting involved in that. You try and hit your brakes, you just can't stop. It's that sort of frustration that I totally get. So hopefully we can make their way up this time through the order. But I mean, I know Azure is going to be raring to go again, because Azure actually got a massive jump on Denak on that first lap through there. I know Denak's definitely going to be weary of that now, coming into this restart. So we shall see what happened. But yeah, Azure, I have to go, to Azure just making it so good to push through there. But we're gonna see again if we're gonna be able to cut through everything that's going on here, and to see if we can line up these drivers, just making sure that they get through it one more time here. We're gonna have one more start, second chance for everybody, and let's see if they can make it count.
That's what I want to point out. That's what I like about Azure. He is very aggressive on the start. He will do heroics if he has to. So again, as you said, Denak has to watch out and take a look at his rear wing, because Azure is just waiting to pounce.
I know, they're gonna. So now here it is, deja vu once more. We're coming through the penultimate corner in Rent. They're gonna go side by side here, and hopefully this time we'll take the green flag and we'll get through everything in its entirety. We're gonna make sure that the drivers are gonna go through. They're gonna have some nice close battles. They're gonna keep it nice and clean. So here they come, and it looks like the green flag does wait quite a bit until we even cross the start-finish line. So we're just going to be eyeing those cars there. RK, of course, leading the pack. Hopefully going to get another good jump. Here they come, side by side, running through the straightaway for the second time. We're going to see the green flag for the second time. And thankfully, due to the magic of sim racing here, we get to go on a restart here really quickly. Here they are. They're all lined up. They're waiting for the green flag to fall. And green, green, green for the second time here in Red Bull Ring. And we have RK up in front. Azure looks like getting another good jump on Denak coming into turn 1 here. But not good enough, actually lining up front to stern, coming through turn 1 there. Looks like clean so far. But Azure's going to be looking to make a move on Denak coming through. Looks like Katie in the background came up there. It seems like there's a little bit of contact through a couple of cars there, but everyone's still coming through clean so far. Looks like everyone is shuffling through, coming by there. There's electroshocks in the background there. A lot of 2 wides, even a 3 wide going in front there. I think that's cameras up outside there, right next to Taichi. And I believe Taichi is losing another position. Cameras side by side coming into Schlossgold corner right there. Looks like getting side by side, just trying to make it late on the brakes, really wide, not going to be able to make the turn, has to file back in behind. And here we go. Here's the turn. Oh, that was electroshocks behind, going a little wide. It looks like that's Quest right in front, just keeping that Bentley on side by side with, I believe that's Dipping and Kivik right there coming through there. Looking like going through Roush corner. So far, so good. Battles are close, but they're keeping it clean so far, as I believe the number 44 is stopped on the track with, I believe, Oily Rags back there.
That's Oily and Fluffy.
Yep,
yes.
Oily and Fluffy. Looks like they're in a tangle, but thankfully, that tangle doesn't look like it affected the majority of the race up there, as we go back to number 324, Taichi right there, trying to get through. Or we have a replay of it. Yeah, we have the replay of the incident coming through. Yeah, this is Rouch corner there. I think it was just a minor tap by Oily Rags the outside. Yeah. It looks like the majority of them thankfully managed. Oh, that was JPEG. Looks like JPEG hit Oily Rags pretty hard there. But yeah, no, they come back on the track and they keep going. So it seems like that's pretty good. As we then slip over, I believe, to the number 64, actually. Looks like Ven is going to make a move. Oh, it looks like Ven back there trying to go on the inside there. Ramus corner. Looks like there's more battling coming up there. That's Saber from behind. But yeah, Van, and I believe that's Leparcho right behind, very close, and Leparcho looks like is losing some positions. That's for position in silver class, the battle between Van and Leparcho. Leparcho tries back inside, slams into the side of Van, and looks like Van is now stopped up in the corner, is now rejoining the track. It's, oh goodness, a big incident, some major damage up there, and Leparcho, ooh, that move, it was unfortunate, just going through. I think it was a little too deep on the brakes, carried a little bit too much speed, and comes in through there. Oh, it's unfortunate incident there, but looks like we got a replay of that as well. It's coming through.
Oh, well.
I believe we are seeing what was behind Orgarags there. Yeah, so that was the incident earlier, and then we're gonna have the other incident coming up in a moment, coming through there. But right now, as we can see, as we see the end of the replay, RK is still leading, followed by Denak now. Azure Go not able to get the run there, as I believe we're going to try and see if we can pull up the other replay for that incident. Yep, here we are. Yep, here it is. So this is Leparcho. That's Leparcho behind in the Ferrari, and then up in front with the BMW. And as they come into, I believe that's the Schlossgold corner, just goes inside, breaks deep, just unable to get it stopped. It gets, Ven turns right in, and that's just, an unfortunate incident there.
Yeah, I think with Parcho not slowing down and conceding for Ven, I think it's going to be questionable. He might receive a penalty if the blame gets put on Parcho and it's not a racing incident. Now Parcho, going a bit wide on the same corner again. He might, I think he might be having a little bit of trouble trying to get the breaking point right here.
We saw on broadcast right there, Ven and Kivik right there, side by side. Kivik went really wide there. I mean, yeah, with the penalty, looking back there at Ven's now just trying to make up positions.
Yeah, and as I was about to say, these race cars are now filled to the brim with fuel. They have a lot more fuel than in qualifying trim, so you might want to have to dial down on those braking points and maybe mellow down a little, because again, your car is fat with fuel. You just have to manage all that extra weight on race trim.
Yeah, as we push up. Oh, I believe that was Taichi going a little wide as we go back into dipping sauce here. This looks like a fight for P11 right now between Leparcho, Dipping, and Swingly back there. Looks like, you know, Leparcho, I think Leparcho suffered a little bit of damage. You can kind of tell Dipping Sauce is gaining pretty heavily coming into that braking zone into Ramus.
Dive.
Looks in close. Oh, just taps.
Oh, no,
and
not
that goes
again.
around. Leparcho goes around there, this time by dipping, and Leparcho's just stopped on that track, losing all of these positions. And that's another instance going to be looked at. Leparcho trying to get around back on the racing surface without rejoining pretty badly. That looked really close. That looked like JPEG right there had to take some avoiding action as Leparcho came up close, but it looks like they're all okay after that, and I think we're going to get another view of that incident. Oh, I think I see another incident up there with JPEG. It's JPEG up ahead. Yeah, there was an incident
slowing down
between, it looked like JPEG and Derg there as they had a massive slowdown. There's Oily Rags on the inside there trying to come in through. JPEG is outside on the corner. As you can see, Oily Rags just on the back, but they both hit sand there. Cameras has to, Derg there has to emergency brake, excuse me, as looks like Oily Rags, JPEG, and Derg there all line of stern, just making sure they're all together and not running into each other. Wow, what close calls here today. I mean, after that first incident, which we've had the restart, we've had our share of incidents already. But looking back at what we see here on our leaderboards right now, RK still in first, followed by Denek, and then as we saw, Azure Goat just set the fastest lap with a 128.90, faster than RK and faster than Denek. I think Azure Goat really wants that position for P2 as we then look back with Araz at number 406, looking like trying to make a charge. A Taichi up in front, coming in close. Looks like they're going through. That's Oily Rags right now going through. What's that? I believe. Oh wait, no, we're back on. There we go. Yeah, there's Taichi right there, and you can see right behind.
Yeah.
Right
Taichi.
behind, there's Araz, and Araz has been slowly catching up to Taichi right now.
Yeah, Taichi really trying to defend as much as he can. As you can see, his movements were pretty erratic. They're trying to keep that 406 Lamborghini behind as much as they can, but Araz, I think Araz is going for fighting for position here. He feels like he has what it takes to try and battle out with Taichi, but keep in mind he does have the championship in play as well, and with Partial all the way down from all those incidents, the door is wide open for these drivers to try and steal it, especially drivers like Ven or Araz, who want the silver championship as much as Parcho does.
Yeah, and Ven, I think, is down P15, so I mean, this is a huge shakeup in the silver championship. I think if I were Araz, I would race Taichi right now. You got to keep in mind, Cameras is right behind. That's for the spot. I mean, you can see Araz looks really good on the brakes in comparison to Taichi right now, but the Taichi is just, it's got that straight line speed. We can power through and be able to just keep that straight line speed, which actually I think that's what Araz wants. Being able to catch in the corners and then just stick by him in the straights, because you'll pull further and further away. But that's not to be said that Cameras right behind is going to be looking to pounce. As we take a look further down the order, it looks like the number 28 of Raph is getting pretty close to Electroshocks, trying to maybe make a move there. I mean, Raph and Electroshocks both in silver. They're looking to see if they can make a move down there, but I think Raph backed off just a little bit. As you know, the Mercedes has not been very strong around here, and it looks like it's showing its wear there, as it looks like Raph is dipping a little bit further down, just barely trying to get at Electroshock's heels there.
Yeah, the Mercedes, not a common car you see here in the Simufur grid, especially on ACC, but Raph being pretty, that was with a pretty unique car, and unfortunately struggling with right now as they have to resort to staying behind the number 75 Mustang of Electroshocks.
Yeah, but it looks like I mean, Raf is getting pretty close. You can see, I mean, within 3/10, but the thing is that because of the oncoming car, and it looks like the launch isn't as good as, you know, the Mustang out in front, you're not going to be able to get through very well. As we go back to, I believe we saw a short, brief moment with the number 97 of Cameras there. Cameras is actually getting really close to Araz in the 406 car there. They're going through, I believe that's Worth Corner. And you can see, I mean, while Araz is trying to catch with Taichi right now, Cameras is getting even closer to Araz, and you got to keep that in the back of your mind. Yes, Taichi is up in front with that with the pro class, but if you can get a car in between yourself and your opponent behind, you would do that. As, oh, I think that might have been a little bit of track limits there from Araz coming through, I believe, the Red Bull Mobile corner there. But yeah, Cameras getting really close to the back of it, maybe thinking of even filling the mirrors and making a move there, but instead it's just going to live to fight another day there.
Yeah, but it's better to be patient than to risk a dive bomb and mess up your race. But Cameras of obviously taking the more patient route, trying to see if Araz cracks under pressure. But right now, it's a really difficult situation for Cameras, because both him and Araz are quite a long way ahead of the Silvers, and they do not want to compromise this luxury.
I don't know about that. It looks like Hammers is making moves on Araz right there. Went outside on Ramos corner and went outside again as Schlossgold, but then now they've fallen far behind to Taichi right now, almost down to a second, and that's led Zzorz, another pro driver behind, and now be behind them. But Cameras is going wide, washing a bit wide there after that attack, and now Zzorz is right behind Cameras. I don't know if Cameras is going to want to give up this position to Zzorz, because there is P1 and Silver right in front. But I don't know if Cameras is going to have a choice, as you can see that Zzorz is going to be filling up the mirrors of Cameras right there, trying to get by as Zzorz is trying to battle with Taichi.
Oh, but yep. Unfortunately, Zzorz washing out wide in turn 10, so that's going to compromise them. But if Zzorz is faster than you,
meanwhile,
surely
going to the 765 at Azure Goat right now, it looks like Azure Goat is trying to get P2 from Denek right now, going side by side, coming into Ramus corner. They are very close. Azure holding the left side while Denek gets the inside of the apex, but Azure looking like he gets just amazing grip coming out of that corner. Now has the position just barely in front. Can he cut him off all the way in? He does. Azure gets in front of Denek, and that is P2 overall today. Let's see if Denek has a response coming in. Azure trying to cut him off. They made contact, but they managed just to hold it, even though they made minor contact, and Azure gets P2 from Denek. Wow, that was an amazing move.
Again, as I said, Azure, a very aggressive driver. He will do whatever it takes to get ahead, and that move shows it. Wrapping around the outside, squeezing Denek on the limit. I mean, that's just amazing racing stuff. That's just really hard racing.
Yes, I mean, they kept it both on the track, even with the contact. You know, you have the little bit of argy-bargy, but if you can manage to do it, you know, without severely compromising the other driver, hey, you know what? Sometimes rubbing's racing. We all like to see the very clean side-by-side battles, but as long as, you know, they can both continue on. It looked like there was no real big damage here. Oh my gosh, looks like Denek up in front, and number 54 went super wide into turn 1, and now is going to lose the position to Chris. Oh my gosh, that was really, really unfortunate. I believe Denek just missed his braking point coming into turn 1 and went super wide, and now Chris just sweeps in and says, thank you very much, I'll take third. Yeah, we're going to take a look. I believe.
Unfortunately, it looks like Denek washing out wide. They're just losing momentum as we speak.
Like we can see in the replay there. Look how wide.
Too late on the brakes.
Yeah. Absolutely too late, and that unfortunate mistake has allowed Chris to take advantage, and that's exactly what you want to do. Now Chris is in P3 after starting from P4 and is looking to finish that off. As after we come to the end of the replay here, I believe there is a battle ongoing between what was Dipping and Swingley right now, the 279 and the 38, but it looks like Dipping Sauce just got by through Schlossgold corner, and it looks like Dipping is on a charge, trying to make their way up to Katie, which is now a second ahead. Now pushing back up the order, going to number 54, Denak. Looks like Denak is trying to fight Chris, and Vossi's right behind too. I mean, you have two TGR cars looking to gain on Chris there, and Denak, looks like he's going to try and make the move. He's looking on the inside, filling the mirrors of that Lexus, coming down, who's going to be later on the brakes there. Looks like Denak just a bit. Is he going to get a grip? Chris washes out wide, but it's going to be able to hold the position, but that's definitely going to be a knack for track limits there, and they got to be careful. They get too many of those, they're going to get a penalty here, and possibly a drive-through, and you do not want that.
Yeah, and I was also about to say Vossi could have taken advantage of Denak and Chris hustling to turn 1, but unfortunately, these guys are just pushing the limits a bit too much. They're going wide. They're stretching out the track as far as humanly possible, as scratch for humanly, as furrily possible. but yeah,
looks
these
like
guys
number
are
44
pushing the limit.
Was involved in an incident. I saw him stop. Looks like turn 1. Looks like number 44 has gone underway. I saw a quick flash of that TGR Ferrari car. Seemed like they came to a spinning stop. But anyway, going back to the battle in Denak and Vossi right now, it looks like, or I believe, no, that's Swingley. Yes, Swingley and Dipping right now. Swingley back up to the bumper of Dipping Sauce and trying to maybe get back the position they lost when they were going through Schlossgold corner just a couple of laps ago. You could see their line astern right here, and this is the interesting part about all of these battles. You have Swingley, who is a silver class driver, Dipping, who is a pro class driver, Saber behind, which is a pro class driver. You got pro sandwiching you. You got other excuse me, sorry, my timing glitch, excuse me. You got other silver and pro class drivers just looking to try and see if they can make moves out there. And as we can see there, Swingley looking like is just going to let Saber through there. And Saber then does get the position there. And it's looking like Saber is just making sure that they try and make up as many positions as they can from that start. And I believe right now, Denak and Vossi are side by side going into, I believe, that Schlossgold corner. Denak trying to throw it in there, almost making contact, just defending the position. But Vossi, a little bit of argy-bargy there, just making sure they come up ahead. And that's going to be one more position down for Denak, as Denak's just trying to find any grip he can and any momentum he can after going down from P2 now to P5. Denak's just trying really hard to try and make up the positions he lost, as I believe the 523 car I'm seeing right here on my timing screen has gone off. That is Saber.
Yeah, really unfortunate for Saber Kitsune. If I can track them, it looks like they are down. Yeah, they are down. They probably had a massive accident. If we can look at a replay of it, there is a replay as they head into a straight coming up of turn 3. I believe it's turn 4 where they had the collision. It's really close. Yep, it is really close into turn 4, and yes, Ven trying to switch back, and it is just Saber just got sandwiched between Ven and Swingley.
Yep, that's what it looked like. An unfortunate incident, and Saber's gonna drop back. Incident-filled race galore, but you know, people still have to keep going. Looks like Cameras right now trying to make a move on Araz. Coming into, I believe that is Ramus corner, and then Dipping right behind, making a move on Katie. There's just so much racing going on, and I think right behind Swingley is making a move on Van.
As I said, Red Bull Ring delivering great racing product, especially down turn 3. That is a massive overtaking opportunity if you get it right, and if the car you're attacking cooperates with you. It's either you have a great send or you have Max Verstappen and Lando Norris.
And it looks like Phaser and Dirk get involved in an incident. Looks like either T1. It looks like that's Ramus corner. That'd be T2. So unfortunate for them as well. They drop even further back in the order.
Unfortunately, I think it looks like Dirk is conceding to Phaser. It looks like it's on Dirk in this incident because he has conceded to Phaser but We'll see in the replay. Let's see into turn 3.
We'll take a look here. Let's see what exactly happened. Not sure if Dirk just broke or spun out or what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, just ran into the back of him.
I think just couldn't track the overspeed that he had over Phaser and just ran into the rear end.
And I believe
yep.
that is the pit window now open. As everything has been going on, we still have a mandatory pit window these drivers need to maintain and pit in. They're going to have 20 minutes right now. And as you can see in the graphic there, their average pit stop time is going to be an additional 62 seconds of their current time. So they need to keep that in mind as they pit. It seems like
there's an incident. There was a massive incident in turn
there.
1.
It looks like Phaser and
Phaser
Wolfen,
again.
and it looks like that's Wolfen involved as well. Then we're gonna grab a quick replay of that and see what happened. Phaser just unfortunate. So okay, looks like that's Wolfen in front. And they're coming into turn 1 here. So that's Wolfen in the Bluey BMW, and then Phaser in the Lamborghini.
Yeah, Phaser dive bombing right now.
Oh, comes back down in, and it looks like unfortunate contact there between the two cars, and that now drops Phaser down even further in the order. But I think...
Yeah, unfortunately, it looked like... Unfortunately, it looked like Phaser just turned into Wolfen. They were going for a dive bomb, but suddenly veered left and unfortunately tapped the Wolfen, just sent both of them spinning.
Yeah, and we're already seeing people taking advantage of the pit window here right now. Zzors is in the pit, Ven's in the pit, Kivik's in the pits right now, and I necessarily don't blame them. I think getting it done early, especially with how incident prone it seems this race is today, you get less involved in the better, as I believe Sierra and Raph, number 962 and the number 28 car, are both battling again into Ramus corner. Looks like they're side by side, and looks like Raph doesn't necessarily want to give it up, but I think that's also Juanvi right behind him, the 911 Porsche, now under threat with Raph there, as Raph may lose 2 positions in 2 corners. Now, so far, Raph manages to stay in front, but you know, you have to be careful, not careful, but oh, there's huge dive by Leparcho coming in right behind, not even expecting that, but Leparcho manages to hold it, doesn't get by, but you know, with the braking of Leparcho, definitely wants to try and see if they can get by this gaggle of traffic in front, possibly before pitting. You know Leparcho is trying to run a little bit on that red mist given that start and just trying to keep their championship hopes alive, but they're dwindling here as each minute ticks by and Leparcho, you know, gets sent further and further back. But that was one heck of a dive. Thankfully, Juanvi knew, it looked like, you know, super aware, knew exactly what was going on and kept it clean. As we see right behind, Raph goes into the pits there on your screen there. And then now it's Juanvi and Leparcho going down the start straight, coming into turn 1.
Yeah, especially in a position of someone like Parcho, who had all those incidents. You really want damage control at this point. You need to limit how much you're losing and try to gain as much as you can. Now Parcho trying to gain as much positions as he can, trying to get back up on the silver class. But as I say that, there is Swingley and Katie going too wide, and I think Katie has the upper hand here, but Swingley with the inside, but Katie breaking on the outside with the utmost confidence and just gets past Swingley.
Yeah, that was an amazing move to set up by the Ramus corner. Actually, you could say set up by turn 1 as Katie manages to get side by side all the way there and pushes it through all the way around. Leparcho still stuck behind Juanvi. You could see where he's putting that car very close, very dangerous and making contact, but manages to basically get side by side with Juanvi, just diving on the brakes, trying to use every inch of traction that Leparcho can to get that Ferrari ahead of that Porsche, and Juanvi not making it easy for him, as then finally Leparcho gets by, and that's, I believe, Saber in the back, right behind them, Saber catching up. It looks like by their angle they may be pitting as well, but now we have to worry about the pit window strategy. Now that we've had a few cars in, I believe Wolfen, Zezors, Kivik, Ven, Raff, and Phaser have all pitted, and yes, Saber has pitted too. Now it's just a matter of who has filled their gas tanks to last towards maybe the 20-minute mark, or if they're going to be going until the midway point of this race as they're side by side again. That's Swingley and Katie, and it's all about getting that good exit out of Nicky Lauda curve and making that run through the draft. But Katie managing to stay in front, making sure that he keeps Swingley behind, and Katie just has to make sure he can keep that Aston Martin in the rear views.
It's going to be tough between Katie and Swingley. They have been throwing hands at each other for quite a while now, ever since one lap ago. They just won't stop. I think Swingley thinks that they have the pace to get past Katie, but Katie is just making it hard for and as I say that, there's Denak diving into the pit lane for their pit stop, going early compared to the others as Katie and Swingley continue to battle it out against each other.
Whoa! That was some contact there. It looks like Katie went a little, and more contact right there coming into Red Bull Mobile Corner. And somehow, some way, both of them managed to stay straight and keep going. That was incredible. Katie almost losing it coming out of Rint. Looks like had a massive amount of snap oversteer going out of Rint Corner. And it seems like Swingley being there actually saved Katie from spinning out. That was incredible.
Yeah, a lot of drivers right now come to pit lane, so it's going to be tricky. As we say that, Camir's side to side with Auras. This is the battle for the silver class lead. Camir's wrapping around the outside, but going for the over-under. I don't think. Yep, Auras is still ahead, and it's going to be really tough for the Blue E McLaren to get past that Lambo.
Yes, no, Azure has been doing everything in their power to keep all comers behind them, especially in their class championship. They are totally looking to take the silver class win today. They have that set in their scopes, and Auras is doing their best to keep all comers behind, including some pro class drivers, as we saw. Now, that Saber in the background there, as we saw, but then we look at, I believe, Oily Rags right now coming through. As you can see, they come through. I believe they haven't pitted yet. So we're actually taking a look back at that incident between Katie and Swingley. You just take a look at this. I am amazed this did not end in a wreck. Coming through Rent Corner here, snap oversteer, manages to save it, makes contact turning into the Red Bull Mobile Corner, and they both managed to stay straight. That is incredible.
Yeah, that was a bit on the line, but regardless, they're still pointing the right way and they're still driving, so that's what matters here in this race. As you see Swingley and Katie, Swingley now pulling away from Katie. I think Swingley was the faster car in that whole ordeal because they want to get past and try and challenge for the silver class. Right now they're on the silver class podium, but Camirs and Auras are a long way ahead battling it out, which puts Saber in between them.
And speaking of battles, it looks like Quest in the number 250 car has gotten somewhat close to Katie. Managed to get real close. Looks like coming through, I believe that was, I'm trying to think, I think Rouch Corner, but is since pulled back. I think Katie had another mistake there. But meanwhile, I do want to point out that I believe by my timing screens, RK is now pitting. RK, when he pit, had about a 14-second lead over Vossi. So now RK, what is the most concerning now that RK is pitting, is being able to come out clean and without traffic. You have a lot of time to work with, especially with that lead. But you never know what can happen, and races have been lost coming out at pit exit.
Yeah, it's really easy to get past the speed limit. It's a very tricky pit entry here in the Red Bull Ring, so it's really easy to get that wrong. You really want to get that pit stop really perfect, spot on, nail in the. I don't know the statement,
You
but
gotta hit the nail on the head. Gotta hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you gotta have your pit stop perfect, cause that will help you gain time compared to the others, whether you're on an under or an overcut strategy.
I believe I just saw Phaser got
Ooh.
a drive-through for track limits. I think I just saw that announcement pop. I'm not exactly confirming that yet, but I believe track limits are starting to take effect for some of these drivers. So it's another aspect of the game. You could be leading in really well, and then you just broke one too many track limits. Just got to keep that in mind moving forward here. As we see, I believe Vossi is now pit. Cameras is starting to pit now. So we got cars in. I think that's Swingley again back there. Looks like making a move on Kivik. But I believe that is for position. Give me a second here. Yeah, that is for position there. I believe the 279 car there. Just trying to make sure they get ahead of Kivik there. And it's just having a frustrating time. Now, Kivik and Swingley, according to my timing screens, have both pitted already. So this is for position. Now, I think Swingley's going to let Kivik go, because Kivik is in the pro class. But Swingley's big rival right now is Katie. But Katie has fallen back since. So I think Swingley is now in open air.
Yeah, Swingley having the advantage of clean air, of which, but yeah, it looks like they only have the Aston Martin of Creek for company. But so far, I think Swingley, who has, I believe they've just pitted, right? Have they pit?
I believe so. I do see that they have pitted on my timing screen.
Yeah, so Swingley having to use Vic as their slipstream to try and undercut the rest of the silver drivers, because who knows, it could really help them in their fight with Kamirs and Aras. It might reduce the gap and bring them into the fight.
Yeah, and we shall see. RK is now out, but we shall see if Denak's undercut will pay off. Katie is now in. Dipping Sauce is in. Pit is in. Araz is now in as well. As we take a look back there, I think that is JPEG and Phaser right now. I think Phaser is a lap down there, so JPEG's just trying to make sure they keep it going here right now. And I believe at this point, the only drivers yet to pit are JPEG, Juanvi, and Electroshock. I think those are the only ones left to pit, and then all the drivers that are currently running will have pit. And as I say that, JPEG comes in. So now we shall see. I believe what the biggest thing I'm looking for right now is where Denak is, because Denak fell way behind given everything that's happened. But it looks like, see, Denak is pushing up the order with Chris. Denak's only a second and a half back behind Chris, and as you know, Chris was, I believe, P3 before we went to pits, but it looks like the big winner of this one was Vossi. Vossi managed to get ahead of both Chris. Yeah, Vossi managed to get ahead of Chris out of the pits, so now, with no more pits remaining for them, Vossi is overall P3 after all pits are said and done, managing to make up a position in the pits and passing Denak. That's impressive.
Looks like it's going to, yeah, as you said, Vossi with a
there's some
really
contact
good
there between Katie and Swingley. Looks
What?
like a 3-car incident between, looks like Katie, Swingley, and that was Kivik involved too. Oh, that's unfortunate. Again, more carnage here at the Red Bull ring today, particularly Ramus Corner. Oh, goodness gracious. And you know that these drivers are just kicking themselves trying to be, I don't want to run into you. No. Just trying to do their best to keep it clean.
But yeah, as we look at the replay, but it's funny how Katie was pointing the wrong way, and all of a sudden Katie's back on the right way after another nudge. As we see the replay, this is how it went out. Swingley on the inside, trying to get past Katie, but the overspeed. Oh yeah, but yeah, Katie back on the right direction the moment they were at sideways.
There must be a lucky furry paw or something that Katie's hanging on to. I want that for my next race. As we look a little bit ahead of the order here. Looks like Taichi is trying to make a run on Aras, as Aras has gotten by Taichi at some point, I don't know if it was during the pits, but Araz right now and Taichi both have taken their pit stops. Araz is in front, as I think there's an incident with Dipping Sauce number 38. Looks like he's catching back on the track now. Looks like it was just themselves into turn 1, so they're going to be losing a couple more positions there, and that's unfortunate coming down, but it looks like now Araz is holding firm in front of Taichi. Another position there. Now, if I look at the overall picture here, that means Araz is overall P6 after the pits are said and done, which now I believe Juanvi and Electroshocks are finally pitting in, so that is the last of the drivers, and all of the drivers after this will have already taken their pits, and the order will be back to where it is in green flag running. I've had very little time to catch my breath since the start of this race. This has been just action-packed every single corner, it seems.
Yeah, and I do want to mention Araz peeling away from Camirs by huge margins. Earlier, Camirs was on the rear end of that Lamborghini, but now, as the pit stops come, it looks like Araz has the luxury of that huge gap between them and Camirs. And to add to that, 2 cars in between in the form of Taichi and Zizors.
I am really, really curious of the championship implications for Silver right now. As far as I understood, Leparcho, we saw Taichi just getting really firm on the brakes inside there from Remus corner, managing to get by Araz right now. Doesn't look like Araz is trying to put up that much of a fight, but is going to stay close to Taichi coming through. But as I was looking for the championship implication, Leparcho has a lead in Silver by 18.5 points. Now, given the difference right now, it might not be enough to change as we do drop rounds. But it's going to be interesting to see where Araz ends up. If Araz can keep this rolling all the way to the end, as I do know that for the current championship standings, the P2 contention right now is swinging in Araz's favor. As I look at the standings for Silver, we had Ven and Swingley and Araz within 3 points of each other. Ven was at 70 points, Swingley was at 67, and Araz was at 67. This is all for second place. So if Araz can get this win in Silver class to the end, this definitely could mean the bump up Araz needs to actually take second place in the championship, which would be huge.
Yeah, with Araz taking the lead right now, it looks like Araz is in a comfortable spot right now, but again, they were fighting with Camirs, and I believe Camirs will do whatever it takes to try and fight for a Silver class win themselves. Now, they may not be in contention for any Silver class championship, but that McLaren has been looking feisty in the first stint. Now let's see if that McLaren is as feisty in the second stint as we look at Ben on the inside of Electroshocks. This is an overtaken Silver class, a bit of argy-bargy, a little bit of contact. They're too wide coming off of turn 3, and now they're going to have a drag race coming into turn 4. Who can break the latest? Who can get that inside line, and who can get it past coming off of turn 4? It looks like it's in Ben's favor, coming up the outside, coming up the inside of Electroshocks and peeling away.
And you know Ven wants to make up those positions. Any points that they can get is going to help. But I believe without being able to overtake Araz, it's going to be very tough for them to actually take the championship. As we can see, Araz looks like is just hanging out in the back of Taichi right now. And in all honesty, I believe that's probably the safest bet, especially what's going on right now. You are ahead of Camirs by a decent margin. By the timing screen here, it looks like around 6 to 7 seconds. As Araz looks like almost going into the back of Taichi, making them a little bit nervous. But yeah, being able to take the draft, Taichi has been quick around this circuit, so being able to take his draft, stay behind, and then have, be in front of Camirs, take the win today, Swingley all the way back right now, P3. As it stands, the current the current few silver drivers out there in contention. Arez is P1 in their class here, as I believe there's an incident with Chris. There's an incident with Chris out in Worth
Whoa!
Curve. Chris has gone outside and it looks like he's losing a few positions. Oh, that was unfortunate. I saw him in the sand there, out at Raj. I wonder if they just lost control or had a snap a oversteer and then had to correct. I think if we could get a replay of that, we
Here we
see
go.
exactly what happened. Yeah, so here it is. He's coming through. That is Schlossgold corner. And then going through the turn into Roush. This is where I saw something happen. I'm not sure if they took it in a little bit. Ah, yeah,
Oh,
snap
bit of a drift.
oversteer. And then just overcorrected going into the sand. And just that little bit right there, it's enough to drop positions. And now Denak has inherited fourth place from that. So Denak slowly making their positions up, but still got a long ways to go to the end.
Yeah, Denak having the unfortunate first stint, but Denak looking to have a slow comeback right here. They're taking advantage of a lot of the mistakes that the others are having right now. But now Denak could come back here. He has had solid pace in qualifying, but right now they're just 5 seconds. I believe 5 seconds to Bossy, as you see Katie and Swingley once again dueling it out. This is Swingley versus Katie I don't know, part 2, part 3, I'm not sure.
I think it's part 4 at this point. Yes, looking at it. I mean, these are two different class drivers, but you would not be able to tell given the way they've been battling each other. And you know what? I'm all for it. The more, you just battle with each other, it doesn't look like, they're in much contention either way for their respective championships. So why not go out there and have some fun?
Yeah, that is what we love to see here in Simufur. It's great to see these drivers enjoying sparring with each other across the racing circuit. It's really fun having that action from these drivers, and I'm going to miss that once this season ends, because we won't have any events for the meantime for now.
No, not in the meantime. I mean, with the current schedule as it is, I mean, this is the finale for a little bit, but it's been one heck of a finale. Just event-filled here, as we see the pit window did close a couple of minutes ago, and we saw all the drivers manage to pit. The only one that took a second, actually, I see two. It looks like Wolfen took a second pit stop, but Phaser took another pit stop because they had a drive-through penalty for track limits. As we
mind if I interrupt, because I have received information that Denak has a drive-through penalty for track limits. That's an unfortunate case for the number 54 Tegang Ferrari. They were about to make their comeback, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's their day. From P2 down to I'm not sure how much they'll lose as they head out, as they serve their drive-through penalty. But regardless, a really unfortunate case for Denak here.
Possibly 5-6 positions if I have my timing screen right. Takes about 20 to 30 seconds to go through the drive-through, and it appears that up to, gosh, P10, P11, maybe even P12, Denak will fall down the order. As you can see there, Denak just has to hit that pit limiter and just stay there. It's excruciating, especially for a driver that's been doing so well, that had a chance for even taking it to RK. But instead, we'll have to settle. There you go. There's another group of drivers. So even worse, it looks like 10 positions overall was a loss for Denak there. Went from P4 to P14 coming out. And now Denak's going to have some work to do as we reach around 16 minutes here to go. Speaking of that, though, that gaggle of cars are all fighting for position up ahead. That's Katie leading the pack, Swingley behind with Dipping and Quest. And now Denak's going to join that pack. It's absolute pandemonium here as more cars are going side by side. There's Dipping trying to throw it on the outside there. Whew, as I believe that's Chris going into another battle there, but it looks like Swingley and Dipping are all back there trying to battle it out together. I believe that's Taichi and Arez up ahead. But yeah, if we go back, there's Swingley side by side with Dipping, making a little bit of contact, but you got to be careful. There's the Cabal right behind Quest, looking to also take advantage and pounce that number 250 Bentley, just itching to get another position. And then right behind Denek, who you know has the pace, has the ability to be faster. All of them converging together here with around 15 minutes to go.
Whoa!
Almost gets run into by, I believe that was Swiggly up behind, and now that means Quest is right behind, and Denak's right behind them. Coming down to the start-finish line here. We'll see if they make a move. Quest is looking through the mirrors of Swingley, going side by side into turn 1, and Denek, of course, is going to try and see if he can slot in and make sure, but instead goes wide at the outside. Quest stays inside, hits the brakes really early, loses a lot of time, but Denek just swings out wide after already getting pinged for track limits. Now goes through track limits again, as I think, Chris up ahead. If we look here, as Denek's just trying to stay ahead of Quest, but just to inform you, there's another battle going on between Chris and Araz and Taichi. Chris is trying to get ahead of Taichi right now, going on the outside. Araz, of course, has been behind Taichi for a while, and we're coming into Worth Corner here as all three of them line astern, just trying to make and battle that position out, just making sure that they can get through. Now, this is the battle for P4 you see in front of you, and in the middle of battle of P4, there's a battle of P13 going on. So there are just battles aplenty in the closing stages here, and we're not even done yet. Taichi coming down through Red Bull Mobile Corner to complete another lap, and Chris is chomping at the bit, trying to get to P4, possibly trying to catch up to Vossi, but that's going to be a tall order. Chris fills the mirrors on the outside. He's going to be later on the brakes coming into turn 1. No, but that's going to allow Chris a massive amount of momentum as that Lexus loves the top end power there. Getting the draft behind Taichi, coming up through that kink right there, going to Ramus. Chris lining up on the outside, gets a little bit of the head of the braking zone. Will he brake later? Will Taichi manage to come inside? They managed
they
to
pushed wide.
tip just a little bit. Chris going so wide, he has to go onto the grass there as Chris stays side by side. Araz right behind, having the bucket of popcorn, watching the biggest fight he's seen for this season. They tap, coming into the turn.
No.
Chris has to swing out wide. Taichi loses some momentum on the inside there, but manages to slot in right through. Araz looking a little frustrated, trying to say, hey, you guys are losing time. Come on, make up your mind. But this is for position in pro. Taichi and Chris going at it. Again, Chris had it all the way up to P3 up until the pit stops. And so after that mistake in that corner we just passed in Rouch just a few laps earlier, he's trying to make up for lost time. And we go through another lap here, the penultimate corner, coming down to around 12 minutes and 30 seconds to go. My, what a battle we're seeing right now.
It is indeed the final stage of this race. So things are definitely going to be hitting the fan right now with all of these drivers going at each other. They're at each other's necks at this point. They're just trying every move in the textbooks. It's just insane.
It's absolutely nuts, and we see here a little glimpse of Katie and Dipping Sauce Part 5 beginning to form. As you can see right behind, that is Swingley, Denek, and Quest right behind. There are lines of cars starting to come up in between each other. As we look back more, there's another fight up ahead. It looks like Chris, Araz, and Taichi are all at it once again. Now Araz was alongside Chris, but Chris is just trying to get leader on the brakes between Taichi. Look at that, trying to hold the outside again. Taichi throwing the kitchen sink at defense. Everything that they can throw, just trying to make sure that Chris does not pass. Trying to put their best impression of Lord of the Rings as they shall not pass. Makes a tap on the rear bumper there. Just Chris doing everything they can, trying to pull Taichi out of line, pull Taichi to the side. It is not working, and Chris is running out of time. We are heading into the final 11 minutes here. In a couple laps, we're going to be less than 10 minutes to go. Chris is going to look to get through here, and Aras is going to look to try and take their win and possibly the win of the championship. All of that's on the line between these three cars in this one race.
Yeah, a lot of fighting right now. If I was in the shoes of Aras, I would be thinking of just not getting involved in that trouble, but Aras does look like he has the pace to keep up with these two. If these guys continue to fight like this, if they do have an accident of their own, Auras could just pick up the scraps and just run away with it. But it looks like Auras playing the patient game right now, because look at them, they're touching into turn 3. If those were Formula 1 cars, they would have bumped into this. That's Chris with a spin!
And that's Chris with the spin after the touch there. It was argy bargy, and now Chris has to sit there and wait while they rejoin. Oh, that was such an unfortunate incident for the run they were going through. But right behind, as we saw in the picture there, that was Katie and Swingley right behind. Again, trying to fight for more positions. Just one after the other. Katie is looking to try and see if they can get through. There's Denak behind. Katie's looking in the inside there. They both swing out really wide, but Katie just manages to get some grip as Swingley has to stay wide. They are now side by side, coming down into Roush, but it looks like Swingley thought better of it and let Katie by. And now they're gonna have to worry about Denak, who's right behind, trying to gain all the positions they lost back. Those 10 positions, they've gotten one through Ven up in front, but other than that, they haven't been able to make much of a mark, and Denak is running out of time.
A lot of things going on right now. It's just hard to keep track, but really unfortunate for Chris with that spin. The traction coming out of nowhere.
It looked like it might have been because the contact coming into the corner may have unsettled the car just a little bit, enough so that they managed to actually, pull through. They were trying to get a little bit more traction, but unfortunately, because of that, they were going to go right behind. I believe Denak went off a little bit, and right behind Quest just let Ven through. Right behind this gaggle of cars, there's another gaggle of cars here right now. That's Van, Quest, and Electroshocks, all fighting for P14. We've got 3-4 battles all coming into the closing stages here at this Red Bull rink here. We got Katie up in front. That's Denak and Swingley now side by side coming into Schlossgold corner. They're putting it all on the line. They all know what's at risk. This is the finale here. You got to make sure you can do what you can, get the positions you can. But I got to say, as for everything here, the one driver that has held staunch and has had one massive run throughout this entirety of this race has been our leader, RK. It looked like everything that's been going on today, they have just been sitting pretty up there. Every incident behind is just a phase in the mirror that they just look through and to keep running. It's been absolutely incredible. But going back to it, there's Denak right behind Katie trying to get another position now to P13, no, P12, excuse me, trying to make the P10, possibly get enough to P11, excuse me. I am looking at so many things going on. Is making the pass there. Denak getting a good move, good launch out of Red Bull Mobile corner, coming through to P1, and that is now P11 there. Looked like almost contact between Denak and Katie there. It was contact between Denak and Katie has to go wide. Because of that, Swingley gets to go by, and now Katie has lost 2 positions in one corner. We're gonna take a look at a replay there of what happened. Yeah, you can see Katie went wide there, so just lost all momentum, but trying to slot in behind Denak there coming into turn 1. I think Katie was just a little bit later on the brakes than they wanted to be. Yeah, that was a good tap to Denak, but manages to keep it clean. But I have to say, Denak now, that's at least two more track limits offs for Denak. I don't know if they're going to get another drive through at this point, but as we can see, the battles are still on. Of course, Katie had to let Swingley by because Katie lost all momentum into turn 1, but now Katie is on the back of Swingley here. And as we look further ahead, there's Cameras and Zizors. They're very close coming in. This is another battle right here. This is for P6 as Cameras loses quite a bit of momentum coming to Red Bull Mobile corner, dropping around 3/10, and Caesar's going to hold that position for another day. Everyone is running out of time to make their moves. There are 6 minutes left in this race, and judging by my timing screen here, it's going to be around, looks like 4 more laps. So the times are running out. People are going to try and make their moves. The fluffiest of cups for silver is on the line. We shall see if any of them can make it work. we're going to flash back here to Electroshocks and Quest now, as Electroshocks coming up close to Quest for P15 overall. Now, Electroshocks is silver and Quest is AM, but you have to say, with everything that's been going on here, just the battles aplenty, it doesn't matter what class you're in anymore. You just want the position.
Yeah, that's right. It's just all hell breaks loose for these drivers at this point. We have a lot of drivers of different classes fighting each other. And I do want to point out Camir's being right behind Zezors, but look who's in front of the both of them. It's Araz. Now, Camir's has Araz on his side, but unfortunately, Zezors right now being that massive cork in the bottle.
Yeah, and I do want to say right now, I mean, Araz, it's been one heck of a drive coming into the closing stages of this one. Araz starting, I believe, it was P6 in overall, managing to gain one position and is now in the top 5 overall. Silver driver, top 5 overall. Just want to reiterate that, as we have, you know, the talent of RK, Azure, Tycee, Vossi all up ahead, but you're given the silver class, being in the top 5 of this very competitive field is amazing. And just being able to throw it into the end is what Alvarez is going to do. As we look back again, back to the battle between Electroshocks and Quest. Electroshocks been trying to get by Quest here, but just hasn't been able to get any sort of launch coming out of the straights, which is hampering their top speed and not allowing them enough momentum to get in front of Quest. So you know that Electroshocks is going to try and beat them on the brakes and some cornering, but the question is, can they do enough to get by them before the white flag and the checkered flag falls?
I think it's a bit too close to call right now with how fast Quest is in that Bentley. I think it's really too close to call. Electroshocks does have the pace, but Quest is just really holding him up really nicely.
As we look back now, we're looking at Swingley getting close to Danak here, and that's Danak trying to close into top 10 by getting to Dipping. Danak has dropped the gap between Dipping and that TGR Ferrari car to at least 2 seconds, and closing. Yeah, we've got another fight. All the fights are starting to brew here. That's Ven behind attacking Katie there, as we see coming out of Red Bull Mobile Corner. Everything's setting up for the final 3 laps here at Red Bull Ring. It looks like, as we see, what we got is Electroshocks fighting Quest, Ven fighting Katie. I think we have Sierra fighting Juanvi. And, of course, Danak making the charge, trying to get up to Dipping, and Swingley right behind. As we see there, Ven gets a huge launch out of that turn 1 corner, gets side by side on the inside, coming into Ramus. Will they keep it clean as they go through? Looks like Ven is going to get the traction they want out of there, but it's going to be enough. They're going to be side by side. Looks like their speed is just about the same coming through there in the straight, going into Schlossgold's corner. Then has the minor advantage of being able to take the inside line, but Katie's carrying a lot of speed on the outside there. But Gawash is wide, so Ven does take that position for now. But you know, Katie has been taking on all comers in their fights. I'm sure is going to take the fight back to Ven, as I think Leparcho right now is trying to pass Saber going through. I believe that is Raj corner right behind. So right now, as far as I see here, for P13 we have a fight between Ven and Katie. For P15 we have a fight between Quest and Electroshock. For P13 we have for P15 we have a fight between Quest, Electro. For P11 we have a fight between Danak and Swingley, and then Leparcho is fighting for P17. And this is all coming into the last minute and 30 seconds here of this race.
Yeah, a lot of things going down to the wire right now. And I do want to mention RK. Out of all the things that are happening here, RK has been dominating by a landslide. This is Max Verstappen type beat stuff. As RK rounds the final corner for one more lap to go.
Yes, and we've confirmed that is the white flag. This is going to be the final lap for the drivers that will be taking the start-finish line. Swingley looking to make a move into Denax, filling the mirrors there, going down into Slosh Goat corner. That is a silver driver challenging Denak, the pro driver, going into a corner, coming into the closing laps here. I believe right now, going through the battles, Leparcho is still trying to get by Saber, as Leparcho manages to get side by side there. Looks like Leparcho, right now, the number 47 car, was having a massive fight with Saber. Just manages to get behind there. This is another silver driver challenging a pro driver at the closing stages. It goes way wide at turn 8, almost loses the entire car, manages to keep the rear wheels behind him, and keeps going to hopefully finish this race. We're coming down to the final straws here, though. I think the biggest one of note is RK, just keeping it clean coming through this entire race, just managing to make it look easy as we come through the final stages of this. I think RK now is on the penultimate corner coming through.
RK.
If we look at the number 25 car coming down here, and he is coming around the final corner, and he is about to cross the line. RK is the winner and the champion of Simufur GT3. Oh, we had, it looks like Chris had a bit of an off there, going back down the order, but he's going to be recovering and keeping going. But then we check out, back up the timing screen. Azure is going to finish second here, along with Vossi in P3. Looks like the only other fight right now, the big one, is between Swingley and Denak. Denak just trying to keep it going here. Chris had another incident. He stopped out at Roush. I think Chris has pitted. Chris is retired on the last lap of the race. Going back through, Arez has finished and has won the silver race here. And we're not exactly sure of the championship, but we will have those results finalized. But has made a great run at winning the race today for the silver class. As we come through the order here, and I believe Quest has...
Yeah, that's Quest for Am.
Yes, I believe Quest has won Am. Yeah, Quest has run Am. I'm seeing Juan V lower, so Quest has won the Am race today as well in a surprising turn of events.
And it looks like Juan V is our Am class champion.
Yes.
Now,
1V is confirmed. 1V is our Am class champion. As you can see, they are celebrating the moment here, but also credit to Quest where it's due as well, winning the Am race today. And wow, what a turn of events with everything that has happened with all the incidents. I think that second restart produced some amazing racing.
Yep, indeed. And that will conclude the racing here in Simufur for now. But, however, while the racing is not over, there is still a lot of fun to have here in Simufur if you join the Simufur Discord. Now, there are time trials that we are hosting on Assetto Corsa right now, so while we don't have the races, you can go settle your lap times in those time trials, and trust me, it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of wacky car and track combos between all of them.
And as we come back here, the results for the race today, of course, going through the overall championship right now. RK winning it today with an impressive display over almost 20 seconds from Azure Goat, who is in P2. And just running down the line here, Vossi coming in P3, followed by Taichi in P4. Then Araz, the winner in the silver race today, in P5, followed by Zzors in P6, Cammers in P7, and Kivik in P8. P9 is Dipping Sauce, and then Denak rounding out your top 10 here for today's race. We got Swingley in P11, Ven in P12, Katie Timberfox in P13, and Quest, the winner of the Am race today, in Cabal, P14. Of course, rounding out your top 15, Electroshocks in P15 in their Ford Mustang. Of course, rounding out the rest of the grid, Saber in P16, Leparcho in P17, Sierra in P18, Juanvi in P19, and then Chris, with an unfortunate retirement at the end of the race, finishes P20. Then Raph, P21. P22 is Fluffy, followed by JPEG in P23. Dur in P24, and then Wolfen, a diplomatic incident, in P25. Then Phaser, P26, Oiler in P27, and I don't believe I see Gyondo in P28 here. I'm not sure if they started.
They did
think
not start.
they did not start today. But going into the specifics in our classes, the silver class, of course, Araz taking a commanding win today, beating out a lot of pros in P1 in their class, and is going to make a big dent in the championship, possibly win. We will have to finalize those results, and we'll have them for you in our Discord. Cameras in P2, P3 swingingly rounding out your podium for silver. Then Ven in P4, Electroshocks in P5, Leparcho on P6, and then rounding out your silvers is Raph in P7. Then, of course, in Am, Quest with the surprising win today in P1 in their Bentley, and the Honda NSX's Sierra in P2. Two odd cars up there in the top two. And then rounding out your podium is Juan V, our Am champion for Simufur GT3 here. Then Fluffy in P4, JPEG, Fox in P5, Durg in P6, Wolfen in P7, and then rounding out your Am class, Phaser in P8. It has been wonderful commentating for you and for everyone in Simufur. Thank you for joining us for another season of Simufur GT3 action. We hope to see you guys sometime in the future, and stay tuned. We have our X page in which we have announcements. We have our Discord at discord.gg/Simufur, and we have Blue Sky as well. And just look us up there for Simufur, and you'll find all the information to join our leagues, join our races, join our Discord. From me in the commentary booth, I've been Paliku'i, Suzuka is joining me, and Mike and the broadcasting booth, putting on all those camera angles for you. Plus our previous commentator, Newbie, who has been with you throughout the season, who could not make it today. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you guys next time.